Woohoo! Thank you very much, Peter, as we are jumping in. Week 3 here of the NLC Aragon. It is going by mighty fast. Bans, kind of what we're expecting here from Verdant on the blue side, the Draven, the Cassante, and probably the Olaf targeted away from Spuda, most likely here.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. I think the Olaf has to be targeted away. He's just shown that he's so good on it. He's crazy win rate on the European solo queue ladder. And LeBlanc, please, R3 red ban. I'm really praying for it. I don't want another day plagued by LeBlanc and static Shiv. I mean, we got an Akali, but I just think LeBlanc is such a menace with it. Outside of that, I'm seeing other OPs like Maokai, which Verdant has shown, you know, a tendency to pick B1. Sejuani and Vi are other picks that are potentially going to be picked up here.
Yeah, and I think this is the interesting thing that drafting against Domino does, is it frees up a lot of these more overpowered picks that LeBlanc taken off the board, like you mentioned. But yeah, stuff like the Maokai, which either Taxa or Shaka will be happy to go towards.
Ooh. Okay, so this, yeah, exactly, the Maokai too. I think the Maokai's really good, like you said, on these front-to-back compositions. But yeah, the Yuumi, we have the interesting dynamic in draft now of the Yuumi-Milio handshake.
Yes.
I really want to see what carries they pick up with it. What's happening right now globally across the meta is you have Aphelios versus Xayah, Xayah being the only real champion who wins against Aphelios very often. So I wonder if we'll get these two playing against each other. They're both extremely good with both of these champions, just because these supports are so broken here. But yeah, there you go. Milio versus Yuumi. We're in for a bit of probably a snoozy early game.
Yeah, most likely. Wouldn't be surprised if Domino just pick up the Aphelios here. 2X has played it 4 of the 5 times that he's entered the Rift this split, and it sets up for a trade over with something like maybe the Lucian, something like the Xayah as well in terms of your ADCs. But it does mean that we are getting a little bit further through the banning phase, a little bit further through the draft phase without seeing any junglers picked up.
Oh, speak of the devil, you see this one. I think you could also, on the other hand, you can also pick something like the Sejuani. Sejuani does decently well into the Maokai because you have that long range, non-committal engage. Both these team comps do need that front line, right? I like how you allude to the front line picks, because these champions like create a sort of front to back dynamic where you need multiple bodies in front of the carries to enable them. And there it is. There's the Aphelios plus Yuumi. Makes him so unbelievably tanky and lets him do such ridiculous things by just face tanking the enemy team. I can imagine now it's either going to be the Lucian or the Xayah to follow up here. Yeah,
so either try and match the scaling or go for something that's going to spike really hard in mid-game with the Milio, like the thinking here. For Verdant, wouldn't be surprised if they just match jungler for here. I don't think that you want to be investing massive amounts of draft resources into Taxa in terms of any bans in the second phase, and the Vi still being on the board makes sense to pick it up.
Yeah, Taxa Vi as well, right? How many steals have we had where he like ults in and gets a random Baron steal?
Too many, bro.
Absolutely. But I thought the Xayah would be better here into the Vi specifically, as well as just having a really nice interaction with Milio. Being able to root from longer range because you could throw the feathers further is just a super nice interaction. But doesn't look like he wants to play it. Maybe 2Axis doesn't pilot the Xayah. Maybe he just thinks it's better. Fair enough. As for bans now, though, you're probably going to target stuff like pairings for Vi. You know, stuff like the Ahri. What else? Syndra is also definitely a decent shout.
Yeah, and I think it's important for Verdant to shut down Clover 7 because he's really been the sort of surprise package coming out of Domino. We knew that Spuda was good, we knew that Shaka was good, we didn't know how good this Chinese mid laner coming out of the 3rd Spanish division was going to be. And I think it's fair to say, Aragon, whilst he hasn't been one of the standout players in the league, he's shown an ability to perform at this level.
He's Chinese and from Spanish. I had no idea. That's super interesting.
Do you not?
No. Genuinely, I had no idea that storyline. It's really incredibly interesting. But the Gwen band coming out now showcases that potentially they're looking for another tank in the top side. I really like it. I think it's really important to have alongside that Aphelios. Maybe it highlights that you want to prioritize Cassante, which, you know, Nilly on these tanks recently has prioritized a lot. I think Cassante is just so broken right now because of just how raw tanky he is. Cassante's banned. I take that all back.
Yep,
what other tanks? Potentially Sion.
That's how broken he is, man. Yeah. He's so broken that they banned him in first phase. He's got to be taken off.
Absolutely. Oh, there you go. Another tank.
Yeah, it's fine. But I think this is... Sadly, I think from my personal perspective, it's playing into the styles that we've expected from the two top laners here. Domino, not scared of the Jax, not feeling like they need to ban that one away, take off the Ornn, a big team fight engager, which is kind of what Nile has been on this split.
Yeah, and Tristana taken away now, right? The teamfight engagers, for sure, they're going to prioritize that. But I also think something else that's important here is they could also pick up the Jace. I take that back because Jace is also incredibly hard to play against Vi. Vi can just ult in his face. It's just Jace has a really nice interaction with the Maokai. And they're also banning the AD mids that also work well with the Maokai. So maybe they give them an idea to pick that. But yeah, no, completely. There it is. There's the tank. That's the last real go-to tank, I believe. I think maybe Gragas is the last other frontliner that's top tier. So maybe we see that out of Verdant. We see a Gragas versus Sion matchup in the top side. And then, our matchup of the day goes out the window, but still, because it's just gonna be a wet noodle fight, isn't it?
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. They'll proc heart seal on each other, maybe occasionally, something like that. So, I mean, something like the Mordekaiser does play into the Sion matchup a little bit more. Aragon, you know a thing or two about this champion.
I like this champion a lot. I don't know if you knew this, but this is the first game I'm going to be able to cast of Renekton. I'm so excited. Yeah,
is it actually?
Yeah, I think so. Genuinely, no one picked it last split.
Fantastic.
It's just been hovered, right? And no one ever wants to. I'm telling you, no one plays this champ for some reason, but it just got buffed, and is getting picked way more in the higher leagues. I really like the Azir here because it also pairs off with that late game hyperscaling fantasy where you have 2 tanks in front. But the Renekton, going back to that, loads of buffs to his kit. Specifically, the biggest one that people might underrate a little bit is the E. They buffed the E cooldown by lowering it by 2 seconds, and this is huge because it's a ability you max second. And I feel it every single game I play, right? I find kills that I wouldn't have before. I find escapes that I wouldn't have before just because the E cooldown comes up way sooner in every single context, whether it's early game, mid game, late game. So massive buffs to Renekton. Also a very good matchup into the Sion, providing he gets a lead. Does Galscale with a bit of resistance. I think you want to talk about Qiyana here.
I do want to talk about Qiyana. So, if you didn't know that Clover7 was a Chinese mid laner who recently played in the Spanish Div 3, you may not also know that he is one of the best Qiyana mid players on the server. And obviously, Aragon, there is a reputation with Chinese Qiyana that is going to be absolutely cracking skulls.
Yeah. Maybe he looks up to Beifang, the Chinese Qiyana main, because I've seen a couple highlights, and that champion could do some disturbing things. I'm glad you highlighted it. I had no idea he was from China and played on those servers. Really, really damn cool. But you can expect that Azir, with those buffs to the early game, will get priority in that lane phase. So you do have a lot of priority coming out from every single lane here outside of bot lane, right? You have priority topside with this Renekton matchup into the Sion. Easy priority for almost every single level. And then Azir with those buffs to early game with that range can also get priority. So maybe we can see Taxus do something topside here. You can imagine though that Gooby is just going to get pushed in because of that really, really dominant lane phase and that those micro interactions between Lucian and Milio.
Yeah, I'm really intrigued the way that Domino have set this up, because we talked about Spooder sort of being the guy that was playing a little bit more carry-oriented out of these two guys. And whilst I think the Renekton is a champion in the different mold or something like the Jax or the Fiora, it can get stuff done, especially if it's able to find backline access.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, actually. I hadn't thought about how we kind of flipped the script on what the two players are playing. You know, one's playing a tank. Was it Nilia on Renekton, right?
Yes, Nilla Renekton.
Nilla Renekton. Yeah. We expected him to be on a tank, and we expected Spooder to be on a carry, right? And it's completely flipped. No, completely. It's really, really cool. But they've done a good job, I think, Domino. Like you said, I think they've done a really good job pairing off this draft, because you do need an AD mid laner with that Maokai, and you do need an AD top laner with that Maokai. So finding that, reaching down into that, the hat to find that Qiyana and not picking Jace, because I highlighted how you need an AD mid, but Jace is pretty rough. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, and I am ready to be impressed, Aragon. I think that is how I'm going to be phrasing it. Domino, I do worry about their range. Once we start getting to these later team fights, I feel like Azir, Aphelios going to be able to rain down damage without much opportunity for Domino to respond, but certainly got a lot of tools of their own to get things done in team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of tools to get things done in team fights. You have a lot of single target burst, right? You dash forward on that Lucian, insta burst someone out with all that damage given to you from the Milio as well. And you can also have follow up from the Qiyana and then the single target from Maokai as well. I think we're in for a really interesting one. On the other hand, you just have a standard front-to-back team fight from Verdant. I think that's probably going to be a relatively slower one. I want to see how they play for Nilly, because that's definitely a new look.
Yeah, obviously the Renekton has excellent damage, excellent gang setup with that Ruthless Predator early on, and so maybe we see Taxa making a couple of adventures towards the top side, which isn't really something that we've seen about the Verdant jungler too often.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The thing is, though, in this matchup, you kind of need to play aggressive early. You need to trade because if Sion manages to get through lane comfortably, gets to his Bramble Vest, gets to his Tab Eyes, then your damage actually kind of just falls flat on its face, and you only really can turn up to team fights, right? For example, at Rift Herald later on. I imagine he's probably going to go for something like the Gore Drinker build, which is way more team fights orientated. Dude, I'm just spieling about Renekton. I am so sorry.
I'm sat back in my chair. I've like put my feet up. I'm like, as long as nothing else happens on the map, I'm absolutely fine to listen to you talk about Renekton for a while. But there are other lanes, Aragon.
Yes.
And what I do want to focus in on is this Azir into Qiyana. Whilst melee assassins can have some aggressive maneuvers, the Azir really good at just sort of keeping them at arm's length.
Yeah, and super interesting as well. I like that you highlighted Azir because this Azir, you know, I said he's been receiving buffs recently, especially to that early game, and I think we might have another gank here middle cart from Shackle in the early game.
Yeah, going up towards Nilla, who's going to flash onto Spoon to try and get a turnaround kill. First blood for Nilla, wins out the 1v1, dashing away with a double stack of that E. Surely he's not going to be able to get away out of this one. Shackle has the flash, the Bramble smash will be able to take down the Renekton, but in terms of that top lane 1v1, it's advantage Nilla.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful stuff from Nilla because he knows he has that 50 Fury W to break that shield, even though Spooder thinks he's tankier than he is. Really nice to trade 1-for-1 right there, despite the fact that he does fall. I wonder if he saw this coming, because every single game Domino does the same thing. Shackle does like 3 camps into a gank top or visits top early, no matter what the matchup is, because they have so much faith in Spooder.
Yeah, but that faith is not being repaid right now. You don't mind going down on the Sion, but I think you mind a little bit more the gold going over to Nilla. Gube has had sort of line share of the control in this bot side. It does feel like 2X's and Snubby have been playing closer to their tower than they would have liked.
Yeah, potentially scared of getting ganked or something like this. I actually expected Lucian and Emilio to get priority in this lane, but it does seem like it's going the other way around. I'm going to be honest, I think it's the first game we're going to have where bot lane isn't that relevant until later on, which excites me so much. Oh, except there might be a trade here. He's very low.
There might be kills there. I think Snarby was on about 20 HP there before he regened about 200 in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, new supports. It's a bit of a year's difference, isn't it? Season 13 release, but yeah, recovering 300 HP very quickly. What is Shackle doing? He's recalling. He had intentions there, I think, to go and dive bot lane, potentially on a slow push wave, but he's decided, you know what, guys, I'm going to recall. I'm going to take camps. You can see there are pings going down from Tax indicating where he will go. I like that a lot because it helps you set up your lane phase. What do you need to freeze? Do you need to push? But it does look like because he's pathing actually to top side, he's going down to bot side. Maybe we'll see a dragon contest on spawn.
Potentially that one is going to be hitting the rift in just under a minute, as Noah is getting a shove topside. Niter getting a shove. Well, it really has been lane priority in all of these, well, basically everywhere on the map for Verdant. And that's just great, because even if Taxer isn't making the most aggressive as moves, it does mean that he's a little bit free to play how he likes.
Yeah, and you could see part of that as well is the fact that Taxa, he hasn't done as much, right? But he's had just 3 winning lanes, and Shackle has felt the need to gank top lane. If you look at the CS difference, Taxa is really actually far ahead, and this is super important on Vibe, because you want to hit level 6 as soon as possible to start making these plays with your ultimate. Start ganking mid, for example, or top and diving, and using your ultimate for these skirmishes at potentially Dragon or Rift Herald.
Yeah, I like this from Clover 7 though, dipping out of the mid lane, placing that ward to try and spot out where Taxa is going to be. Qiyana nearly hitting level 6 herself. That's a big spike for this champion as well, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, right? You can see there's a CS difference mid, but that should get nullified a little bit as Qiyana starts to get more threat, as she gets more points in her abilities, because at the beginning of the game, right, she's just a standard melee champion. You have a little bit of poke with your Q, but you are just going to get shoved in and bullied by the Azir, who is a huge lane bully. You can take a look. He's having to farm with his Qs, right? It isn't nice, but it's on Clover 7 once he gets these tools to potentially use them and make skirmishes work.
You look top lane, Spooder is really not enjoying himself. Doesn't have TP, still has flash, still has ult, so Nille maybe we'll think better than opting for the dive, but in the battle of these two top laners, we know who is winning out. Bot lane, Gooby getting a kill onto 2X is not quite sure how that happened, but on the other side of the rift, Nille is about 50 HP from killing Spooder.
Yeah, and I wonder if Spooder here is actually going to be able to find that recall in time. It looks like he is. I think Nilly actually misexecuted here. As nitpicky as I'm being, I think that could have been a kill. Regardless, action all across the map, and Verdant are just winning everywhere, middle top.
Well, I tell you what, if there's one champion that you're allowed to be nitpicky on, it's Renekton and Arrogance, so we will give you a pass on that. But yeah, Verdant winning out on the early game, much more proactive from them than what we saw yesterday. They've already built themselves into a 1,000 gold advantage, and I think the best thing is it's kind of going well everywhere.
Yeah, despite that though, it does look like the Dragon's going to go over to the side of Domino. Despite having no mid priority, you could see Taxus frantically running down to the Dragon, and there's pings coming down, so maybe we'll see a contest. There's a flank coming in from Wendell and Gooby too.
Yeah, flanking on the
Spooder.
Aphelios and the Yuumi, maybe not the best idea. Taxer is going to go in regardless.
This is bad.
Pause immediately going to be dropped down. Okay, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, that was an interesting pause and an interesting decision. Did you see Spooder on the way down? That was a really creative use of tempo. He knew that Nilly was on reset, so he had time, you know, without being punished. Maybe he'll lose a plate or something, but he could show up to this dragon fight at the first dragon. I'm really excited to see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see what happens with Taxa, right? Because he was charging up that Vault Breaker, and I feel like either on the pause or just like before the pause happened, he was charging into people on Domino that maybe he shouldn't, right? And after Verdant have had this decent early game, I think throwing it away at a dragon, it wouldn't be a good look.
It's uncharacteristic, right? I completely agree with you. It's uncharacteristic because they've been comfortable giving dragons, right? The past like 2 games or whatever, they've given over the first 2 dragons because their composition demands it. Why suddenly, you know, die for a dragon right here? It's just not very Taxa-like. And like when you consider a player who's been playing so well for so long, yeah, no, it's really peculiar indeed.
I think especially when you consider like kind of who Taxa is, because whenever you have conversations about Taxa, it's never, oh, he ganks 4 lanes in 2 minutes out of early game. It's never that sort of conversation. It's he's shot calling. He understands the flow of the game a lot better than other junglers, and so he can make the correct calls. Hasn't made one there. He's going to feed a kill over to Shackle, who gets the Drake as well.
Yeah, and now you can see off the back of it, they're just not going to get anything topside. Spooder can walk all the way up to topside. They can secure that dragon, and because Spooder was there, there's no collapse. Honestly, even if Spooder isn't there, that play is terrible. So, despite that, no cross map and secure dragon of Domino. This is looking good.
Yeah, it's looking all right. I'm continuing to be worried about this mid lane, though, because AD Assassins, they kind of need a snowball to be relevant, and it's fine for Clover 7 to be dropping down to this CS differential versus Nita, but I struggle to see ways that he's going to be able to get in to this Verdant squad, because, to be perfectly honest, they can all survive his burst at the moment.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like exactly what you're saying, right? How can the Kiana be useful? I'm trying to think of what micro interactions they have on the team, and I'm seeing like a Maokai ult from Fog of War in the river into like a Kiana ult in the river, you know, and it's kind of secured, similar to how you like set up a Yone ult with a Yone Maokai pairing. I think that could work. Maybe that's the idea they have. It definitely sounds spicy, and maybe we'll see that later on at like a dragon fight or a Rift Herald fight. But geez, this top lane is a little bit brutal. I'm really enjoying watching because Nilly's actually playing it pretty damn well.
Yeah, slow stacking this wave to try and ensure a slightly larger crash. Maybe we're going to be seeing some map moves from Verdant off of that, as pings are going down. Taxa is in his topside jungle as well.
Yeah, and you can see the wave crash down. He's moving down into the river. I wonder if Nilly's actually going to start this up because he's so confident. He's got really strong components right now with that whip and a bunch of HP and AD. I think there's definitely a world they could potentially do this Rift Herald. They are, in my opinion, they are stronger. I take it back. That's a really scary Shackle. That's a really scary Shackle. I've just seen his inventory. I take that back. Maybe
I love
it's
that
better solved.
It's just the demonic embrace in there. You've got like the little jungle thing, but it's like, I could get the item that gives me all the damage, and I'm going to grab it. And hey, now that he's hit level 6, possibly going to be adding to his couple of kills.
It does look like the top lane prior is going to overrule that demonic, which is what I thought initially, but I was just so scared by the item, right? Like, all Taxa has is an assortment of swords. Despite that, Verdant, Nita, and Nilly and Taxa are going to secure this. Probably give over a wave in the mid lane, though Nita's actually going to go back and catch it, so it's going to be a free objective. You see down bot side, pings are coming down. Shackle's going to try and make a cross map down there, or potentially trade actually nothing for it. We're seeing a lot of plays on either side of the map without any cross maps. You can see now they're trying to dive bot, but Taxa's on the way.
Yeah, and I mean, you've got a TP on Nilla as well if he wants to come down to this. So it's wasted time for Clover 7, wasted time for Domino, and they really can't afford to be doing that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Loads of failed cross maps, absolutely. And Clover has just waddled back top lane with back to mid lane with a 30 CS deficit. It's really brutal. And he had counterpick, right? I really hope for his sake that, you know, the later team fights are super convincing because you have had no mid prio, right? You're down a stupid amount of CS. And wait, we'll have to see. The ult might be set up here.
No, Niter with the flash, with the dash, getting away. Shackle chasing him forward, though. They really need to get this kill onto Clover 7. He's going to use that supreme display of talent and get the kill down onto Niter. That was very close, but Domino needed that.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see the setup from the Maokai securing it's super nice. The mixed damage coming from both of them as well. This is why I really liked mixed damage coming out from the draft. But on the flip side now, you can see everything invested in towards that kill for Shackle and Clover. Now they have no tools, and they could freely place this Rift Herald down bot side without worrying of being counter ganked because Shackle doesn't have ultimate anymore. There's no ultimate potential from a Fog of War, and QB's going to get culled here.
Yeah, TP is going to come down from Spooder, potentially locking up the Aphelios, knocking him into the air, the Yuumi keeping him alive, but he is going to die eventually. 1 for 1, both AD carries off the board, but Domino running in the wrong direction. Nilla is just so difficult to dislodge from their backline, as he's going to be able to take down Spooder 2 for 1 in favor of Verdant.
And you could see immediately the punish from Verdant, where they see Domino make a play in mid lane, and now they know that Clover is stuck mid lane without any ultimate, no teleport, and they use their teleport advantages to force a 5v4 in the bot lane. Because of the numbers advantage, it's just an automatic win. Nilly comes down here with a teleport like Superman, and he just runs through all of them. And you can see, look at that. Picked up that Gore Drinker. Any fight topside now is going to be completely free. Infinite sustain. He's probably going to transition this into a bunch of plates.
Yeah, well, I think Verdant have kind of made a mockery of these side lane towers thus far. Still 2 minutes until those plates drop up, but ample opportunity for them to grab even more. And I like the attempt at a play from Domino, but Verdant respond that little bit better.
Yeah, and you can see how much single target damage this draft has when both the Renekton and the Vi are on the same target. The Vi ults the target and Renekton Ws, and they're just stunned. You know, for solid 6 seconds, they cannot move, right? And that's the combo they're using there. I'm really, really impressed. I just noticed something I wanted to comment as well is that it's a really smart draft as well because taking Azir, currently, Azir's really broken. I might have to hold that thought because this looks pretty dicey. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, he goes over the wall. He doesn't go in. He doesn't die.
The last time, right? But no, Azir, currently, he only has, like, because since the buffs, he only really has one threat, and that is Vi, Nico in lane. But you take the Vi and the Azir, and you just have no counters anymore. I think Azir is so broken, and in these games that tend to go really long with Verdant, I think it's a super important pickup that we'll see more often.
Yeah, and so the response here for Domino, I guess, is try and generate these weird angles. Like, so you can't necessarily spot where people are. Clover 7 dropping the ult. Taxa not too perturbed by that, but it's going to buy a little bit of space for Domino as second Drake is hitting the board.
Yeah, you can see, do a summoner check, this dragon fight. They've all probably got to head in together because Gooby, with that Yuumi on his back, does not want to face check. Does look like Taxa is queued over the wall. It's on cooldown, but it does seem like Domino a bit hesitant to contest. You could see that 2-Axis actually has to catch a wave in bot side, and it's going to go straight up to Verdant. You're going to say, you know what, guys? It's first dragon for them. We can give it over. We still scale.
Yeah, but it's gradual advantages being built up for Verdant. And whilst they are one of the slower early game teams, it does feel like they will always get that lead.
Yeah, it really does, doesn't it? It feels like no matter what happens, Goopy will always come online and somehow get a pentakill like he did yesterday. I don't know, man. Goopy somehow always ends up popping off. Niter somehow always ends up popping off. Last time we saw Niter's Azir, you know, it was actually this combo, this entire bot side combo was, last time we saw it, I think it was versus Vanir, right? And they were losing early game. They're not losing this game, right? They were losing early game, and they just came online. They out-team fought no matter how far behind they were in gold, and it just worked out every single time. That just feels like the theme of their games.
The way that it has been going. But for Domino, I mean, you're reaching item completions, right? And the gold in your inventory is not necessarily as important as the items. Taxa, once again, getting himself a little bit caught out, but support is here from Verdant, and Clover 7 is dead. The Vi remaining alive before Spooder flashes to make it a 1-for-1, but he's going to get chased down, slain by the soldiers. And a double kill for Niter is not a good look for Domino.
Oh, he's just massive, isn't he? I absolutely love Nilly right now. He's absolutely huge. Taxa forcing the fight, baiting himself, you know, like using himself as baits to bring everyone in and force a fight and get a 2-for-1. I really like what Taxa did there because he realizes, you know, I have backup on the way and my backup is stronger. My Renekton's on an item and a half compared to the, you know, the enemy top lane, and my mid lane is also stronger, setting the team up for success. His first blood turret already goes down.
Yeah, and like you said, Gooby picking up gold, quietly being able to do it. Top lane tower falling down as well. I think mid was looking pretty vulnerable too, and Verdant, despite only being 1 kill in the advantage, have accelerated this gold lead pretty substantially.
Yeah, I mean, it's just side lane domination, isn't it? Gooby, I had pegged as one of the best AD carries in the league, but I also didn't think 2Axes was a pushover. I thought 2Axes was pretty decent, having played versus him in the UKLC. So, really surprised. This is... And I also thought that Lucy and Milia would do better in this lane because of just how broken the duo is. But no, Verdant showing complete utter domination in both side lanes, converting that into 5 plates and the tower. Really just impressed. Honestly, no other words besides impressed.
Excellent. So, what does it look like now for Verdant? They've sort of mission accomplished in the early game. We were asking them to show a little bit more, and they have done. What's the next objectives? What are we playing for in the next few minutes?
So I think what you can do right now is Nili can permanently go on side lane. You can have like this like 1-3-1 composition. The only worry I have is Niter in that side lane gaining Maokai. Because Maokai, you know, I said he only really has 2 threats, but Maokai is the other one, which is kind of a pseudo threat, right? The W is a little bit worrying. So you have Renekton off in the side lane, and you just leave him there because he will get prior to anyone. Then you can convert that into counter jungling. On the other side, you can then use Renekton to come flank like this. I think Renekton right now, you see Nidalee standing still on the map. He's looking to potentially TP, right? But I think he decided against it because no fight seems to be happening. So now he's just going to go back to side lane. Look at the flash.
Oh, Gooby getting jumped onto. Shackle waiting in the wings, hiding in the sides, but the Aphelios is going to die eventually. Clover 7 with a pretty decent ultimate as well, and Domino, a team fighting well. Verdant trying to get themselves out of it though. Nile has joined the fray. He's looking very strong on the Renekton as him and Niter are able to rescue something from the fight, but Domino going to be happy with how that went.
Yeah, Domino, honestly. Trading 2 for 3 in this situation where you're so far behind is actually really, really nice. But that's what I was saying, right? They were constantly looking to TP. I hope we get a replay of that because at the start of the fight, Shackle made a really nasty flash over that Wraith wall to find the angle to W. Obviously, Observer quite missed it, but you could tell the entire time that Nili was looking to teleport there because there was potentially going to be action. And in the end, it happens. But Domino come out on top because this really nice flank from Shackle.
Yeah, it's kind of just the thing that he's done, right? On the Maokai, on the Lee Sin. He gets himself into weird situations that you're not really able to respond to. And this is sort of after that play has come out. You can see just how effective it is.
Yeah, super creative. I'm telling you, like, there's no counterplay to just being creative with flanks. It's really, really hard to predict someone just flashing over that wall like that, right? I think Nili could have maybe chosen a different target there, maybe gone onto 2-axis. He does have flash, so maybe women left as a sitting duck, opts to hit the Scion instead. Regardless, going to use this Rift Herald now to charge into the mid lane and use that for priority to secure vision down in the bot side river for that dragon, I imagine.
And I'll tell you what, that's going to make it a lot harder for Shackle to do stuff like that, right? Because if you are being pinned back in your own base, if you're being forced towards your own side of the map, you can't navigate into those situations where you find those creative flanks, where you find your avenues for coming back into the game.
Yeah, no, completely, exactly. You're just being pushed back constantly. You've lost priority in every single lane. How can you find ways like on his Lee Sin when you don't have the ward hop? You know, he's very flash dependent to do that. I think what will happen though, not so much these flanks. I think what will end up happening is he'll just start ulting from Fog of War and playing more peel, right? As 2X's come online. Does look like they're going to look for this cross map though. We'll have to see if Nili falls for it. Hopefully he knows that his team is getting something bot side and that he only needs to chill and not die.
Yeah, I think he's just spotted that ward being placed over the wall there. It's like,
I wonder why that's there.
Yeah, that wouldn't just spawn in there magically. Maybe it's an eco. Hold on, I'm pretty sure we banned her. He's going to walk up to the wave regardless, and Renekton, should be able to clear that one out fairly easily. Domino investing a lot of time. They need to get something off this.
Yeah, and the E's coming in, the ult's coming in. It might actually be a positive play. He's not that tanky. He has a Black Cleaver, not a Sterix or something. I think Nili's dead.
Got a lot of mobility, flashing away, but he gets a kill! Hold on, Shackle dropping down, stun onto Spooner under the tower, okay. Domino, you get 1 kill on the Crocodile, but he bites back, and he bites back hard. 2-axis! No! Okay.
I clenched a little, I won't lie, that was really scary. But
my heart
I do think that was a blunder from Nili. He had a bounty. You did not need to get that wave. You could have conceded it. I feel like that was just him wanting to lose absolutely nothing when he didn't need to. Tax are trying to finish off everyone as they escape. Really good job from Domino from respecting, not recalling too like early on in the lane. But yeah, I think Nili could have been cleaner there. They got a tier 2 turret on the bot lane, right? That's a massive win. Just drop the tier 1 turret, drop a wave. It's completely fine. You're so accelerated and you have a bounty.
But he got a kill in a 1v4, bro.
Yeah, maybe I'm downplaying it.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's that replicable.
I feel like you're just being a little bit of a Debbie Downer right now. Come on, bro.
Let's go, Nili! That was an insane play!
More of that, yes. Hype and excitement.
I'm on it.
Do you know what, actually? Fair play to Nilla. He's been playing a lot of these tanks, a lot of these enablers, and whilst the Renekton, not pure carry, he's looking a lot more like a carry this game than he has at any other point this summer.
No, absolutely. I think he's had some nice moments. I think before the show, you alluded to some nice moments with his Cassante, you know, getting a really, really nice Q3 or something like this. I think he's been playing really well because Cassante, you know, it does transform into that carry. But I completely agree. It's not the Cassante. Ooh, I might have to hold that thought because Knight's getting engaged on here. The W might come out.
Oh, but there's going to be a flank TP from Verdant. If Domino aren't able to kill the Azir very, very quickly, then it could end badly for the massive shutdown for Clover 7 as he's going to be able to take the tower as well. Shackle, not sure the flash was entirely necessary there, but he's actually able to get away. Nille might be looking for Clover 7 here, but the rest of Domino able to get their boy out of there, and 2axes feeling a little bit feisty, dropping some damage into that handbag, but needs to be careful as Verdant are rotating back up.
Yeah, just a really nice play coming out from Domino, seeing the potential dive angle because the tower was so low. That must have been disrespect from Nitro, or just not realizing that tower was low. I feel like everyone's been in that situation where they think they have that the safety of that tower, but it's reality it's one auto attack away, right? One demolish proc away. Manages to get dove there by the W, which I said before, you know, the W from Maokai instantly setting up a kill for that Nitro. And that's what we're seeing, right, from Domino. It's all about Clover and Shackle.
Yeah, and it's these picks on silos. We're wondering how you're going to find access onto stuff like the Aphelios, stuff like the Azir in teamfight. Spooder is going to be fine here. Very, very tanky on the Sion. But if you get the picks on the Azir, on the Aphelios before the teamfight even starts, it's not a problem that you have to solve.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And you could see everyone's a bit tense right here because a death here could result instantly in a Baron, right? There's so much DPS on the side of Verdant. You have an Azir and an Aphelios, right? That Baron just dies. If you make one pick, you instantly force that. So I don't think anyone will fight here. But no, I completely agree with you. I didn't expect like the pick potential on side to be so high. The amount of CC you have just layering that W into the ultimate or into the the Frost slow. I'm going to be real with you. I never see Kiana, so I have no idea what the ability names are. I'm just going to call it the Frost W.
It's that BS that one-shot me.
Yeah.
Usually what we refer to it as. But honestly, for Clever 7, given how badly that early laning phase was going, doing all right for himself. 3-1-3, has a couple of items with that Prowler's completed relatively recently, building towards a Sherilda's third, and this Kiana looking pretty scary.
And honestly, really good job from Domino, right? Coming back into the game, because it felt like it was going to be a clean game from the side of Verdant. I think Taxa's having a bit of an off one, right? I think Taxa's having a little bit of an off one, especially with that first death, but still, Verdant not closing it quite cleanly, getting picked off in that side lane, maybe not accustomed to this kind of Kiana pick that Domino have whipped out here, and it just shows the value of cooking, right? You cook up some cheese stuff into the new meta picks like the Azir, and you find a way to make it work.
I mean, yeah, anything you want. Master you Sejuani? Maybe not that. Maybe.
Oh, no, don't.
More of a kitchen nightmare than something Ainsley Harriet would prepare. 20 seconds until the Drake spawns, and knowing that this is going to be soul point for Verdant, Domino trying to start at the Baron, bait Verdant towards them.
Watch the Clover 7 flank. He might find something here, but Tax is going to sniff him out and push him away. This is a little bit scary for Domino. They aren't going to be burning out unless Clover managed to push Taxa out the pit.
Charging up the Vault Breaker. Nilla stepping forward as well. Verdant might want to go for an engagement, but the Renekton's been caught out on his own. No support for Nilla as Clover goes into the backline to assassinate Gooby. They're able to take him out. Domino find a massive fight around the Baron.
And it's just nearly overestimating how tanky he is, right? He's not that tanky. This is why I much prefer the Sterak second, because then you can take a bunch more bursts, but still, really good Baron turn for the side of Domino. Managed to get it low, don't actually threaten it so Taxa can steal it like he always does. and turn onto Nili, and then actually managed to find Gooby with Clover 7's ultimate. Super nice stuff.
Very measured play coming
controlled
out from Domino. Understanding where they can go and maybe where they can't. Shackle not possessing of that understanding as he's going to be caught trying to ward around the Baron, and with the Maokai down for 35 seconds, Verdant, maybe they threw this game, but they're catching it right back.
We don't have player counts, but I feel like that's just a hands in your head moment. You realize that death is bad, right? You just had such a good play. You secured Dragon for yourself, and you die. Crucially, the point is where you did die, right? You died topside, and you're the jungler, and that's just an instant versus that DPS that we highlighted before. Instant Baron secure, therefore, for the side of Verdant.
Yeah, probably one of the easier smites that Taxa has used this split. And I think that this is dangerous for Domino, right? Because they were having this resurgency, but now you've got a game that is going to be extended, and I do not want to go late game versus Niters Azir.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. On top of that, you throw on a Yuumi onto Niter, or you throw on a Yuumi onto Gooby's Aphelios, right? Completely agree. That scaling is terrifying, right? The only downside to your scaling is the fact that you have a Renekton, but still, you more than make up for that with your carries, right? Absolutely more than make up for it. So maybe, hopefully, we're underestimating how well the Kiana scales, or like her pick potential, and how well Domino can utilize it. But I see that as the main angle to come back now.
Yeah, I think for Domino, though, they're going to be happy that this Baron for Verdant doesn't really line up with too many other objectives. Like, that's just going to be third Drake spawning a minute and a half until the Baron expires. So really, I think for Verdant here, you're looking to try and reclaim some of that gold lead that's faltered in the last few minutes. Yeah,
no, absolutely. It's been a bit of a shaky one for both teams, I think. That last pick was a bit peculiar. And then Verdant, on the other hand, just disrespecting the pick. I guess if you look at both teams, the amount of pick they have is kind of crazy. You have Vi-R for instant snap engage, and then you also have the Maokai W and the Kiana for side pick. So I guess I can't fault them, but it's such an even game. If you take a look at the scoreline, 10-12, right? 2 dragons each, and a very similar amount of gold on each team. I guess they're up 2k gold, but still, I think we can be surprised by the fact that this game is so close. I don't know what your take is.
I think I'm a little bit surprised, but also, this is the thing with Verdant. This is why maybe we're not ranking them as highly as natives, because their games, they can get a little bit muddy. They can get a little bit drawn out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And they are definitely much slower. You see they're pinging now this wave that's incoming, right? So they want to play off this wave. Potentially the last wave they could play off, and maybe they take a reset afterwards. We'll see what they do with it. Maybe they can track this tower.
Potentially. I mean, Niter could look for a shuffle play. Taxa has dive potential as well. Or they could just walk up to the tower with the Baron and drop that one down. The only structures left for Domino are in their own base.
Yeah, jeez. Every single tower cracked. And that's honestly what you aim for with Baron being taken. You aim for all the towers to be taken, as Nili might get caught here.
Oh, the recall was interrupted. They're going to be able to take him out as well. It was Shackle around the Baron. It's Nile towards the bottom side. What can Domino get?
Yeah, it does look like maybe they're barreling it down mid lane. They don't have a wave in top or bot to play off of, so it's just going to have to be this tower, but we'll have to see if the wave clears too much from the side of Verdant.
Oh, ult goes down. Gooby's going to get caught, knocked into the sky as well. One shot on the Aphelios. Clover 7 with even more. The Kiana coming up clutch. And Domino force a team fight under Verdant's tower, and they will rip them apart. Taxa able to get one back onto 2 axes over aggression from Domino, and a double kill for Taxa before Clover cleans him up.
Yeah, and Taxa trying desperately to make up for that play, but what just happened? A single pick onto Nili, cancelling a recall. They managed to spot him out. Well done to Domino. Okay, luckily we get a replay here. You see Shackle ulting from Fog of War, which is really common, because then you get no reaction time to it. Gooby instantly picked out, tries to Gale Force out, but gets knocked up, and then, it's just a massive load of chain CC.
Play League of Legends challenge, right? Impossible.
Absolutely.
And I like this from Taxa on the backside. This is over-aggressive from Domino, but they're still able to win out on the play. They take down that mid lane tower. They take down the inhib tower. Open inhibitor on the blue side.
Yeah, and Once again, I mean, that didn't even close the gap in gold, right? Verdant is still winning despite being down 5 kills now. I think both teams, with these item spikes, they're both going to be comfortable playing for this next dragon. I want to see both teams barreling it down mid lane, trying to get priority, and then moving into the river. I do think it's especially important for the Maokai team and the pick-based team in the Kiana as well to be in the river first. You could see that Spooder is the only one collecting this wave mid.
Oh, can we look at Clover 7's inventory for a hot minute, right? 4 items here.
Yeah, it's kind of sexy, isn't it? It's super nice. I actually really like that.
Absolutely disturbing, and he's dropping into a flank here. This is the thing that Domino love to do, hide on the side. Verdant trying to swan him out with the blue trinkets, but they don't know where the Kiana is for the time being.
Yeah, and now I can imagine that ult's going to come out here from Shackle and Foggable again, and Clover 7's going to pop out. We'll have to see how they execute this. You can see he's going in.
With the charge down, Gooby going to get caught out. That was actually a good shuffle there from Nita to disengage Clover 7. Domino, they're going to get the Drake, but they're getting eviscerated in the fight. No one can get on Gooby, no one can get on Nita, and Verdant turn it around with 4 kills.
And there just isn't enough to go on. He's tipping. I think they're going to end, but that entire fight, Clover 7 just could not find the angle. He managed to land an ultimate onto an Azir wall or something like this, and Gooby just did not drop. Potentially too tanky versus the exhaust or something like this, but I think that's going to be game middle card.
Yeah, the death timers are just a little bit too long, and it was not clean by any means from Verdant, but they get the W nonetheless, and will end week 3 5-1.
That was a bit of a nail biter. Honestly, you probably couldn't call who was going to win that from the start, right?